Hi, friends. So I went to a listening session this afternoon that was chaired by one of the senior counsels to President Linda Mills, and it was advertised as being about NYU's response to the federal landscape. And naturally, they acknowledge that the federal landscape right now is pretty messed up, with all kinds of executive orders coming down out of Washington D.C. That could have all kinds of effects on us, our life at NYU. I believe they mentioned there have been something like 90 executive orders that the president has signed just in since January 20th. And many of them are tied up in court already. There have been lawsuits on dozens and dozens of them. They believe that there will be more clarity on some of these issues come April, May, as they work their way through the courts. But they're still trying to figure out to what degree some of these orders will affect us. For example, if there are cuts in grants, well, they can't pretend like there aren't cuts in grants. But to the extent that an executive order might disallow DEI or forbid gender-affirming care, well, they might have some leeway in interpreting those things. They said many of the right things. It's all a matter of actually performing the right things. They claim that they're not preemptively complying, not folding like a cheap suit. Is that the case, though? They very much complied with an executive order that was issued not too long ago, disallowing gender-affirming care for people under 18. There's going to be a rally outside of Bobe's Library on that very subject tomorrow, Tuesday, the 11th. They made a commitment to us, to the trans community, to the notion of providing gender-affirming care. So who knows what they really intend to do. I made a little speech, imagine that, a little speech, about many of our concerns, things that I've talked about in previous videos. The cuts that were imposed upon Columbia University and whether something like that could be imposed upon us. The proposal, not yet enacted, but in Project 2025, that any university taking money from the Chinese Communist Party would lose its accreditation, or that there would be a radical restriction on a number of student visas, especially students from China, all of which would totally devastate NYU as an institution and us as workers at NYU. So I called upon the university in no uncertain terms not to acquiesce and not to collaborate. They did say this, and I'll hold them to this when I'm president. They're not anticipating any personnel reductions because of these cuts or possible cuts. They talked proudly about how there were no reductions in staff during the pandemic. It's actually not entirely true, but it's close to true. In any case, it's good to have them on the record. As Ronald Reagan used to say, trust but verify. And I'm not even sure about trusting.